What's going on, everyone? Jack here from Half Chrome. This is the Meteor 75 Pro HD version. Now, I have already reviewed the Meteor Pro 75 Standard Edition, Analog Edition, if you will. And I got my hands on this one. This is a Walksnail version, and it is so fun to fly. The clarity of this guy is superb. You will need to have some sort of Walksnail VRX or goggles in order to fly this thing. But if you do, man, it is absolutely the way to go. So clear, so fun to fly, and definitely worth considering. So stay tuned and we'll talk about this little guy. Okay, so first things first, what do I have here? Well, it is, of course, a tiny whoop, and they say 75. Now, that usually means it's 75 millimeters from here to here, but it's actually a little bit big. It's probably closer to 80, and we have larger props on this than we would on a traditional 75-inch whoop, right? So this is the Mobula 7. You can see bigger frame, bigger props, bigger motors. That means more power. So yeah, this thing is pretty darn powerful, especially for a tiny whoop. Now it is a 1S whoop, and you do get these 550 milliamp hour batteries. Yeah, you can still fly it on these 450s. I've got a lot of these BetaFPV 450s laying around. You just don't get quite the flight time on a 450 as you would with a 550. Now it does have that nice BT 2.0 connector here. And on one of these, you could get up to 5.5 minutes on a 550. That's pretty darn solid, especially considering this guy's a little bit heavier, carrying around this Walksnail VTX. So we're looking at 36 grams or so for this. So it's certainly not super heavy, but still pretty darn fun to fly. So these motors, these are 1102 22,000 kV motors, and they absolutely pack a punch. It's certainly docile enough to fly indoors, but you can take it outside and whoop around if you want as well. Do a little bit of acro. Now it's a 1S quad, so it doesn't have tons of power, but it can handle it because of these bigger motors and bigger props. Now, I've really been pretty happy with the last few quads I've gotten from BetaFPV. This Meteor 75 Pro is a blast. And if you're looking for HD, yeah, this Walksnail one also super cool. Now, I also have the Meteor 85 Pro with HD0. Now, the HD0, you get a little bit better latency, but the picture isn't quite as crisp as you would with a Walksnail quad. So just kind of keep that in mind. You got to kind of figure out which one is the best option for you. Now, I do really like flying it with this Walksnail VRX, about $220. So if you already are flying analog, this will connect via HDMI to really any sort of analog goggles with an HDMI input. You can do the same thing with HD0 as well. It's a little bit more expensive, but not much. So you gotta have to figure out, what do you prefer? Do you want the really crisp, clear signal, or do you want the really low latency? One of the big advantages of the Walksnail, other than you get the clear image, is that you can also record directly on board the drone. So it's not recording the image in your goggles, you're recording it here. That means, you know, any sort of breakup that you might get, interference between the drone and your goggles, it's not gonna show on the DVR, and that is really cool. Add that with some, say, I don't know, gyro flow, and you got yourself basically the world's smallest cinewhoop, maybe. So something I'm gonna try later on. So, you know, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and we can see how this guy works as a cinewhoop with gyro flow. Now this has BetaFPV's all-in-one F4 flight controller, 5 amp ESC, and built-in ELRS, not an SPI receiver, but a serial-based receiver, and that's actually really cool. So I was able to connect this thing to the ELRS configurator and upgrade it to ELRS 3.0, and I just used Betaflight pass-through with no issues. So then it bound right up to my Radio Master Boxer radio with my passphrase. So that was really pretty cool and really pretty darn nice. So really, it's hard to go wrong with either one of these quads. The Meteor 75 Pro or Meteor 75 Pro HD. Difference is biggest difference, other than obviously the camera, is price, right? So this guy here, the HD version, is going to cost you about 230 bucks with the Walksnail like I have, versus about $110 for this analog guy. Now the analog one is going to be a little bit more nimble. It's a little bit lighter, it's a little bit more fun to fly, but you do have the analog signal that you're dealing with, so you got to keep that in mind. Overall, BetaFPV has come a long way since some of their original FPV drones, right? This is an old 65. These guys gave me some issues, but so far, the last 3 BetaFPV quads I've had have been rock solid, right? I've got the 75 Pro, the 75 Pro HD, and of course, this 85 Pro HD with HD0. So they're doing better stuff. They're putting together good little quads. Definitely something to consider. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. If it was, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and check us out on halfchrome.com. Good luck, everyone, and happy flying.